In this next session, we're going to talk about how you can make good notes while you're doing research. So while you're reading and collecting information from books and articles, in this session, we're going to talk about how you can improve your process for taking good notes while you're reading and researching. I'm also going to recommend some resources that you can use, some little aids that can help you. So the first thing that I recommend before you start reading is to have a plan for the reading that you're going to do. I've talked about preparing beforehand, and it's really important to help you stay focused, to check beforehand what it is you're reading for. So what is the research question? What is your essay question? What are the key words that you need to look for? So instead of wasting your time reading from chapters in books that don't address your areas of concern, read the abstract of an article before you read the whole paper. Be ruthless with your choices on what you're going to read, because you will be very, very quickly overwhelmed with too much information, reading material that's not relevant if you're not selective about why you're there taking notes. So my recommendation is that you have a list of keywords, that you keep the key questions in front of you, and you use the index in the back of the book to find your keywords or the references that you need, that you use the table of contents at the front of the book to find the chapters that are going to be relevant, so that you are choosing your reading material carefully, so that you make sure that what you need from reading is something that you find. Those keywords are things that will drive you to the pages that you need, rather than all over a book and all over a chapter, and 2 hours later you should only have read a small section of the book because that's the only bit that was relevant. You are trying to understand the theories and the arguments that are being discussed in class, whatever area you are engaging in, whatever you are writing about. You need to be selective about what you're reading so that your notes reflect what it is that you're going to write about, what information it is that you need. So you're going to practice by rewriting the arguments that you're reading as you are taking notes, rather than copying out huge chunks of text. You are going to be actively reading, critically imagining that you are having a conversation with the author, writing questions with a soft pencil in the margin of a book that belongs to you, or on a separate sheet of paper. You are answering those questions by rewriting the information that's in the book. You are highlighting information in your notes that you've taken from the book. You're taking direct quotes and making it clear that you are quoting. But all of the time, the notes that you've written will be mostly in your own words. It's really important as you're reading to be clear about why you're reading. Survey the whole chapter before you read it, focusing on the titles and the topic sentences. Those are the sentences that are at the beginning of every paragraph. Write questions that you need to be answered from the text, and then recite what you are reading. Relate what you are reading back to yourself. Think about how that information is going to be useful to you. Review the information. This will help you to remember as you're skimming through the chapter. It will help you to remember what it is that you've been reading about. So I recommend also, I think this is really important, that as you're using these different platforms, as you're taking notes, do not copy large chunks of text as you are reading and doing your research. Be very selective about what you are taking from the material that you're reading. Handwrite or type in a separate document notes in your own words. When you are quoting, make it very, very clear that you are quoting. Downloading and copying and pasting into Word documents without referencing where the information has come from can cause you so many problems in the future. So whenever you're making notes, be very careful that you don't fall foul of plagiarism because you've copied information and forgotten where it comes from. So that method where you're surveying your chapter, where you're writing questions, where you're reviewing, where you're relating and reading in depth all of that information is very, very important. That's how you approach reading, looking at abstracts and being very clear about why you're reading in the first place. That way, you'll have notes that are useful rather than pages and pages and pages of information that you've copied. If you're going to do that, photocopy the page. That's what I would recommend. Take notes that are useful. Rewrite in your own words. Highlight in your notes app or on paper. Answer the questions that you've written that will help you to learn and have notes that have value.